Please keep enjoying your meal. I just wanted to get started in the interest of time. I hope you're enjoying your lunch. They have the best food, I'll tell you, they really do. For those of you I may not have the opportunity to know, my name is Bill Pizzuto. I'm the campus director of UConn Waterbury and chairman of the board of the Waterbury Regional Chamber. On behalf of the Chamber's board of directors, our public policy committee, and our entire chamber membership, I welcome you to our annual mayoral luncheon with Mayor Neil M. O'Leary. Let me take a moment to acknowledge the two local elected officials that I did notice in the crowd today, Representative Larry Butler of Waterbury and Mayor Tom Dunn of Wolcott. Please join me in welcoming them. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. I also want to take the opportunity to thank our platinum sponsors, KBE Building Corporation and Post University. Without their tremendous support, this event would not be possible. KBE is a member and strong supporter of the Waterbury Regional Chamber, and it has many projects in our region. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Mike Kolakowski, President and CEO of KBE, to say a few words. Come on up, Mike. Thank you, Mike. My pleasure.
Well, good afternoon, and as you heard, my name is Mike Kolakowski, and I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of KBE Building Corporation. First off, I want to thank the Mayor for giving us this opportunity to say a few words. Our company, KBE, and the City of Waterbury share a long history. We are a 59-year-old construction firm based in Farmington, Connecticut, and we've had the pleasure of building over 15 projects here in the City of Waterbury. You may know some of them, from the Brass City Mall, to Cumberland Farms, to a Walmart, to the Carrington Elementary School, to the Caner Technical High School, and we're presently working on the Department of Public Works facility on Huntington Ave here in Waterbury. It's always been a pleasure to work with the City of Waterbury, and we're pleased to be a part of their continued growth. We've come to appreciate the city's role in Connecticut's re-emerging manufacturing and technology culture, and we commend the city's leadership for bringing so many new manufacturing and other businesses into town. And I just wanted to thank the Mayor again for everything that you do here in the City of Waterbury.
Thank you, Mike. Our second platinum sponsor today is Post University, which has a long history in Waterbury and is also a member and strong supporter of our chamber. Please join me in acknowledging Post CEO John Hopkins. John, thank you for everything. I mean that. Yep, excellent. I also want to recognize our gold sponsors today, and they begin with Carmody Torrance, Sandeck, and Hennessy, Doosan Fuel Cell America Incorporated, Eversource, Hubbard Hall Incorporated, Ion Bank, King Industries, O&G Industries Incorporated, Power Stations Events, Savings Bank of Danbury, and Secor Cassidy and McPartland, PC. And our silver sponsors, AI Engineers, Pisani Steel Fabrications, Synagro Northeast, and TBI Construction Company. Without the support and commitment of all of these sponsors, today's event would not be possible. So please join me in thanking them as well. Thank you. Today's luncheon is one of a series of events produced by our Chamber's Public Policy Committee. The committee represents the interests of the Chamber members at the federal, state, and local levels, and provides opportunities for our members to not only discuss public policy, but to be heard by our elected leaders on issues that matter to the business community. Your attendance today demonstrates that the local business community is committed to playing a role in the civic affairs of the City of Waterbury. Our Public Policy Committee works closely with the Chamber's Director of Public Policy, David Kraszewski, in developing our municipal agenda, and copies of which are on each of the tables. To provide you some of the insights for our 2018 municipal agenda, it is my pleasure to invite to the podium Bill Palumba of Blazia Chevrolet Cadillac and the Chamber's Vice Chairman of Public Policy. Please join me in welcoming Bill.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As Bill said, we on the Chamber Public Policy Committee spend a lot of time working on the municipal agenda every year, and we feel it's vital to the city's business community Without a thriving business community, the rest of it doesn't fall into place. So we have set priorities by the 2018 agenda, including fiscal management, city governance, economic development, and public education. I don't want to get into the weeds of this because you all have a copy of the agenda on your table, but I will just highlight a couple of the areas that we feel are of some importance. Under economic development, we recommend the administration continue to work aggressively with public and private partners to rehabilitate underutilized and abandoned spaces in the city, which will increase the inventory of commercial and industrial space available for redevelopment and expand the city's grand list. Going hand in hand with that is supporting the mayor's efforts to eliminate blight in the city, which I think he's done a fantastic job to date. That will, of course, improve the safety of the city's neighborhoods and the retail and commercial areas as well. We also encourage the mayor's administration to continue supporting and working with the Northwest Regional Workforce Investment Board on initiatives to meet the workforce training needs of local businesses and manufacturers. And on a side note, from a personal perspective, Blazer Chevrolet Cadillac has just recently worked with the Workforce Investment Board on recruiting a candidate, and I will vouch for the process. Kathy Awad does a tremendous job down there with her staff, and I would recommend anybody that needs some help to seek out the investment board, because they really do a great job. So I think everybody here is probably pretty pleased with the progress on the 84 construction. It's been moving along very well. They're well ahead of schedule. We also, as the next gorilla in the room, if you will, would recommend to the mayor's administration prioritizing recommending safety improvements to the Mixmaster, while ensuring it incorporates the economic and impact analysis that supports the city's strategic plan for economic development. Another important piece of the puzzle for the Waterbury area is on the public education front. And we recommend promoting STEM and trade training opportunities as a viable option for a career after graduating from high school. As the parent of a high school student and peeling myself off the floor every time I look at tuitions at some of these colleges, I would strongly encourage that as an alternative. Working with members of the Waterbury State Legislative Delegation from Waterbury to correct the inequities in the state's educational cost sharing, or ECS, formula. I should note here that Mayor O'Leary in January was recently elected president of the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, the state's largest nonpartisan organization of municipal leaders. And through the mayor's initiative, that organization has made the ECS formula a major area of focus, which can only be good news for Waterbury. So those are just some of the highlights on the agenda, and we hope you can spend some time reviewing it afterwards. But before I introduce our keynote speaker, I'd just like to add a little plug for an event we have on an annual basis. The Chamber sponsors a bus trip for Connecticut Business Day that is organized by the Connecticut Business and Industry Association. This offers another great chance for everybody to get up to Hartford and voice their concerns to everybody from the governor to your state legislative leaders and other state officials. This year, the event will be Wednesday, March 14th, and I believe we are going to be meeting at Nino's restaurant. In the morning, there will be a bus trip up there. There'll be a light lunch or light breakfast, and I think David has even arranged for some pizza on the way back at Nino's restaurant. And the best news is it's free, so please. Now, it's my honor and privilege to introduce the gentleman that we really came to hear today, the Honorable Mayor Neil M. O'Leary. As you know, Mayor O'Leary was elected to his third term in 2015, and as a result of a charter revision, became the first Waterbury mayor elected to a 4-year term. In addition to serving as the president of the aforementioned CCM, Mayor O'Leary also serves as chairman of the executive committee for the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments. And the mayor is here to discuss accomplishments over the past year and hopefully share his plans for the future city going forward. And I think we're in pretty good shape, so you should have some time for Q&A at the end of that. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mayor Neil M. O'Leary.
Good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be here with all of you. Bill says he thinks we're good on time. I don't think he's been to too many of my lunches. But I'm going to do the best I can, and I promise I'm going to move very quickly because there's some overviews that I'd like to just touch base with you, and then, of course, I'd like to talk about the state of the state a little bit, as well as where the city of Waterbury is obviously today in the mantra of the state of the state. So first of all, thank you to all of our sponsors who are here today. Of course, Lynn Ward and the Chamber, the excellent work led by Dr. Pizzuto, and nice comments by Bill Palumbo. I'm very, very pleased. One of the good things, because there's not that many good things about being the president of CCM, quite frankly, because of the time commitment, but one of the good things about being president of CCM and vice president last year, CCM is an organization made up of 166 of the 169 cities and towns in Connecticut. And why that is important is you get to listen to all the challenges from cities and towns across the state of Connecticut. Large cities, small cities, the most urban, rural and suburban cities as well. And one thing that we all know for sure is that we've got an awful lot of challenges and an awful lot of work to do here in the state of Connecticut. I'll get into that a little bit more later, but I have to tell you that is probably the number one advantage to being the president of CCM, is being able to sit in a room with all the other municipal leaders. There is no partisanship, and I really mean that. There's absolutely no party line activism. You know, this is a bunch of really good people who are leaders, mayors, town managers, first selectmen, who really care about their individual city and or town, and just trying to get through the fiscal crisis that the state of Connecticut finds itself in. And it's been fun to work with people, especially in this nonpartisan atmosphere. This last year for the city of Waterbury, we welcomed some great businesses, CarMax, Pepe's Pizza, Starbucks, St. Mary's Healthcare System, and several other businesses that have really just added to the grand list, which is wonderful. And the two big ones that continue to develop inside the city are King Industries, and Mr. Bob King is here with us today, and we're really pleased about that, and Ideal Fish, which is the aquaponics center that has invested $10 million into their business up there on the Avenue of Industry. I went for a tour there 2 weeks ago, and was amazed at what is happening inside that facility, and it's really cool because it's the largest facility of its kind in the United States of America. Economic development snapshot, quickly, new businesses opened, 76, businesses over this is over the last 5 years. Businesses closed, 22, expansions that have been completed, 13, total jobs created by new businesses, 1,943, total expansion jobs created, 253. You know, jobs lost. You know, we like to talk about the good news, but we still will talk about the bad news. You know, we did lose some companies, unfortunately, over the last 5 years, which netted out to a loss of 212 jobs. At the end of the day, we're going forward in a very, very positive way here, especially given the environment that we find ourselves in. This is very important for all you business owners and taxpayers. Grand list growth. We're very proud of the fact that over the last 5 years, the grand list has grown, you know, each year, some years smaller than others. But at the end of the day, over the last 5 years, the grand list has grown $261 million, which generates about $14.4 million in additional tax revenue. So we're very pleased about that statistic. Downtown Waterbury. This has been our number one, with the exception of education, I suppose, but number one issue that we ran for office on this issue. We were tired of looking at empty buildings, blighted buildings, and nothing happening in downtown Waterbury. And that was a huge part of our campaign in 2011. As you all know, we were the very fortunate recipients of the $12.2 million Waterbury Next grant by Governor Malloy. There's a number of initiatives that were included in that Waterbury Next grant, which includes the Silas Bronson Library. We put about $500,000 in renovations on the inside of the library. We hired a new library director that's doing a phenomenal job over there. And then on the outside of the library is the never-ending project. Sal Porzio here? the never-ending project that has gone over schedule for a variety of different reasons, but it will be done sometime in March, I'm told, and it's going to be beautiful. The front entrance was falling apart, was all deteriorated, and the steps were falling apart. There was no good handicap access. You know, the library being so close to City Hall, you know, once we finished the City Hall project, we certainly had to do the library next. And the first thing we did was take down those hedges in the middle of the night, which caught a lot of the criticism from Larry DiPillo, but I think it was worth it. At the end of the day, we are moving forward. There will be a beautiful fountain, and then there will also be a memorial statue of Sal Porzio next to it if it's not done in March. Moving over to the green, you know, we're really proud of the green project. Again, a Waterbury Next project through the great leadership and oversight of Kathy Smith. We made this into a viable project. You know, we beat Donald Trump to the wall. We built a fence around of the green for about 18 months, and we were able to do incredible things to the infrastructure of the green. We also, you know, put new walks in. We put utilities in underground, water, gas, electricity, so you won't see those extension cords from tree to tree at Christmas time. And it really does look great. And I think the thing we're proud of most is keeping the city buses off the green. This is a never-ending challenge, but we have an agreement with Commissioner Redeker of the DOT to keep the buses off the green. And after 5 studies, finally someone with common sense kicked in and said, why don't we just move the pulse point 1 block east, west, north, and south, and we could keep them off the green, and guess what? It's working. So kudos to people with common sense. 46 Prospect Street, that's the ramp garage that was blighted. We took that down. I only bring it up because it took 10 years to get it down, and now it is vacant property, and we're still not sure what we're going to do with it. We're going to wait and see how downtown develops and not make any rash decisions because it's a very valuable piece of property, and we're trying to figure out what's next. The Republican American train station, we're proud to say, is still moving forward ever so slowly, but the SNET building took 7 years to go. That's gone. And the waiting station now, we're working closely with the DOT. We just got an access agreement to get inside the south side of the building to build a warming station for the train riders. We're really concerned and have been very, very concerned about the state of Connecticut transportation budget. As you all know, we are looking at possible reduction in services along the rail line, and it's very disturbing to us. We've spent a lot of time in the first couple of years of this administration lobbying and getting approved a $70 million package for the signalization of the line and also sidings for the line because it's a single rail line, and we've got all that in the works, and actually the sidings, 2 of the sidings are under construction, and now we find out that, of course, we're ran out of money, and as a result, the state DOT transportation fund is in the negative. So we're lobbying very hard with our state delegation, our federal delegation, to figure out a way to get that fund back on track. And there's, of course, that brings up a whole variety of different discussions concerning tolls, gasoline tax, and even tire tax. So stay tuned on that. That's a complicated one. We're really proud of the Freight Street project. You know, as you know, Freight Street has gone through enormous renovations over the last 18 months. There's enough utilities in the ground there to build anything on Freight Street, anything at all. We could have a hospital, we could have box stores, we could have housing, we could have anything we want. You know, it's all in the ground. It was painstaking for the businesses there, Ginny O'Rourke and Birch, and of course the Tower Grill and McDermott, but it's pretty much done, and we continue to do enormous amount of environmental remediation work on the north side, starting with EWR, and we're excited because that really is going to be an economic development driver for downtown Waterbury once we get through the environmental nightmares, quite frankly. Jackson Street Extension, that's scheduled to start pretty soon, and we'll have to coincide that with the mixed master repairs, and we're going to see how that all plays out. Downtown, we're also really excited about the Lombard Brown building. And as a matter of fact, as you probably all know here, we found partners, talk about private and public money, Bill Palumba. We found developers to take the second and third floor of the Lombard Brown building from purchase from John Lombard, who's been working closely with us on downtown development projects over the last 6 years, and I'm very proud of that partnership. Green Hub Developers, and Joe Gramando is here from Green Hub, thought it would be a great idea to build dormitories. President Herbst from UConn agreed, and we built these magnificent, but Green Hub built these magnificent dormitories on the second and third floor, and they're beautiful, I have to tell you. I mean, I've been in there, inside that building several times. I'd move in there tonight, quite frankly. It's beautiful, and I'm honored to say that we have some students who are residents of our dormitory downtown. At table, please acknowledge yourselves over there, kids. Thank you. And thank you for being here. Okay, moving along quickly, what's happening, arts and culture. You know, we had the Shovel Brigade, was in full force again this year. Fortunately, we haven't had that much snow, but we had that one storm, and the PAL kids were out in full force and took care of 51 seniors, shoveled out their sidewalks and their driveways, and they got a whole bunch of chocolate chip cookies for doing that, and they were great. And the seniors really love it, and it really is heartwarming. Got a lot of press, too, on all the major TV and radio stations. You know, it's very heartwarming to see these young students helping out seniors, and to see the look on the seniors' face when they find out that, first of all, it's free, and second of all, the kids are so interested in helping the elderly, and it teaches the elderly and the kids what life should be all about. The gathering, of course, this year again was a huge success, and I'm proud to announce that on June 23rd this year, we're going to do another downtown festival, and this is going to be called the Brass Jazz Festival. And the City of Waterbury, working with Now Incorporated, with support from the Chamber, is going to sponsor that. Well, sorry, the Chamber's not going to sponsor the event, but we're looking for sponsors. And we think it's going to be a great success. So the Palace Theater is having an event on the 22nd of June that is jazz related, and Al Taylor, who is the force behind the Autism Speaks movement here in the city of Waterbury, is very, very involved with the jazz folks, and has the artist committed to stay overnight and then perform for us in Library Park on June 23rd. We're really excited about it. I think it's going to be fun. I don't think that there's been a jazz fest in Waterbury before. If it has, it's been before my time, which is a lot of time. And I think it's going to be fun, and it's just another example of bringing arts and culture and utilizing downtown Waterbury, especially Library Park. Seven Angels Theater, the Mattatuck Museum, and the Palace are doing well. This year, the Palace Theater hosted Phantom of the Opera, and what was thrilling about that is 22,000 people attended a total of 14 performances over the course of 11 days. But what's even more telling for me was 10,000 of those 22,000 it was the very first time they had ever been inside the Palace Theater. I thought that was amazing. And I've gotten more letters and emails and notes from people who were those first-time Palace Theater goers, how much they enjoyed not only the theater, the magnificence of the theater itself, but also downtown Waterbury with the restaurants, and very high compliments about the high police visibility in the area, and just fun to see. So, as you know from reading the Republican American, the Palace Theater is a work in progress for some of us, and I know Frank Tavera is here, and he understands where we're all coming from, and we're all working together, and that's the reason why Waterbury continues to move forward. We also have On the Trail of Calder, the famous artist, and we hosted the Italian artists that came in, and they built 5 monuments that are going to be placed and installed in 5 locations in downtown Waterbury. Again, just another great example of public-private cultural partnership, and my hat's off to everyone that was involved in that. We're working very, very hard on blight, as Bill Palumbo had mentioned. Thanks to the Harold Webster Smith Foundation, they hired a company called Community Progress, which is this magnificent company who came into Waterbury and did a study on Waterbury and our blight programs, our vacant properties, and they made some strong recommendations, and part of which, and obviously we're so grateful for Webster Bank Foundation for giving us this opportunity, but part of the recommendations included some structural changes in the way that we're handling blight for 2018, and we're putting one single person in charge of the blight program, who is Captain Danny Lauer, who is here with us today, who has done an unbelievable job in the neighborhoods of the city of Waterbury up to date, thus far to date, but now we've given him more resources and, of course, more responsibility to continue this. This is exciting stuff, you guys. In the last, since 2012, we've taken down 110 blighted buildings, and we know that there are hundreds more that need to be addressed. But we're moving forward, and each and every year we're taking down more and more of these eyesores in these communities. Just 16 more in 2017, but it's making a difference. And the reason I say that is the people who run the community organizations, the neighborhood organizations, feel that they're part of the team. They come in with a wish list of properties that they would like to see taken down or demolished or whatever, and we put those on the top of the list, and then we follow through, and then they feel like they're part of the process, which they should be, absolutely, and it really is building this excitement of a partnership between the city and of course the community organizations. You can see from the I don't know where we are on the PowerPoint, but you can see that there's a lot going on in this city in the area of blight remediation, but honestly, after this study's been released, you're going to see an awful lot more, and we just approved another $1 million of bond money to go toward the blight initiatives. We had started this Q alert when I first came into office, where you can call 311 and you go right into the computer and you talk about a pothole or a tree down or blight or trash or litter. And to date, we've answered 34,900 of those calls, and with a 97% completion project, which we're really happy about. Also continuing on the blight subject is that, we're still, believe it or not, it's 2018 and we're still recovering from the Great Recession of 2008. Where people just found themselves in a financial situation where they had to walk away from their homes for a variety of reasons. And I think most of you business folks are familiar with the fact that probably in many cases mortgages shouldn't have been given on these homes, and people found themselves overwhelmed in just a short period of time, which left us with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of empty homes throughout the city, in every neighborhood, in every single neighborhood in the city. So over the last 5 years, we've been really aggressive with our legal department. Hats off to our corp counsel, Linda Wibby, and her staff. And as you can see from the chart, 535 properties have been taken back by the city and then subsequently sold at tax auction. And those 535 properties are back on the tax rolls, occupied, and at the end of the day, generating $1.8 million in additional tax revenue. This one was good, the mounted horse unit. I got a lot of criticism on this one. When I was small and we moved out of Waterbury when I was in the 5th grade, and we moved to Woodbury, and we all had horses, and I've been very fond of horses since then, but when I turned 16, I traded my horse in for a car. But I'm still very fond of horses, and the mounted unit, there was a lot of criticism, but at the end of the day, I have to tell you, very few kids in Waterbury have any exposure to any animals outside of dogs and cats and maybe some chickens here and there. The fact of the matter is what I've seen from this mounted unit is we have 3 horses. They concentrate primarily in focusing in the downtown area for high visibility, which was really the impetus behind the mounted unit. You know, we have police officers on foot and we have police officers on bicycles in downtown, but you can't miss them when they're on a horse. And really the feedback from the downtown merchants has been great. And what I love the most, though, is quite frankly, is to see the mounted unit go to the grammar schools and the middle schools and see the students there interact with the horses. It's fun, and they get very, very excited. More excited about the horses than the ice cream truck. And, you know, it's fun to see the kids react, and it's really the first time most of them have ever been around a horse. And it's a great experience. So we're not gonna expand the unit by more horses, but we're gonna give the students of Waterbury an opportunity to visit where the horses live, which is in Bethlehem, on a horse farm, and we're really looking forward to opening up that opportunity for them. Okay, resurgence in manufacturing skilled workforce. Bill Palumbo talked about the Workforce Investment Board, Kathy Awad's group, magnificent, absolutely great results over the last several years, and even this past year has been another banner year. But we're partnered up with Daisy at the Naugatuck Valley Community College for the advanced manufacturing programs, and the health science building is done. The Founders Hall is done and beautiful and magnificent, and it's amazing what's happening at NVCC. Again, working closely with the City of Waterbury, the Workforce Investment Board, and private partnerships. Major things are happening there, and jobs are being created as we speak just about every day. We also work closely with Porter and Chester Institute, and we're thrilled to have them move into Waterbury over the last year. The Waterbury High School Career Academy, that's an amazing place. Shout out to Mike Harris and the leadership there, Dr. Padua and Nick Albini. You know, this is a school that is really making a mark here in the country, not just in the state of Connecticut. So we're in our 5th year of this school. We started it 4.5 years ago, and we only opened up 1 grade at a time. So with freshman class, and the rest of the school was empty, and everyone was mad at me. And then this sophomore class, and then all the way up. And we did that because we wanted to make sure that we weren't losing the focus of why we opened the school in the first place by just putting bodies in seats. And we continue to keep the criteria very high. In order to get in the Waterbury Career Academy, you have to be a good student. You have to be a student with very little discipline, with good attendance, with good or no truancy, with high recommendations from your guidance counselor and your principals. And you know, you have to want to be in a school that is going to give you an opportunity of a lifetime to give you a career path. And you know, this school was designed and built while I was on the school board because we could not get enough seats into our other VOTEC school in the city of Waterbury, which is a phenomenal school called Caner Technical High School, and you all know where that school is. And KBE actually just rebuilt that school. And the fact of the matter is we couldn't get enough seats, and the wisdom of the folks on the school board at the time, and I see Commissioner Sweeney is here and was part of that, was to build our own. And I've testified and been invited to speak in 4 different states about the success of the school, and it's only 4.5 years old. And the reason why mayors are so interested in this school is because it's run by the municipality, and you know, the curriculum is very similar to Caner Tech's, but it's all city kids, and giving them direct pipeline into employment opportunities. And I'm very proud to talk about the factories that have been a part of this, Clydell Manufacturing first and foremost, and then the rest of them, as you can see on the slide. But we are building up these programs each and every day, and now what we're doing is we're taking our students every day around 1:15 in the afternoon to these factories where they're involved with apprenticeship programs, internship programs. And just this past year, Clydell Manufacturing hired 7 7 of our students full-time in these enormous jobs with high pay and benefits. And many, it's just amazing to go walk into Clydell and see these students of ours who are now in a full career path. And that's just one example. So we're really proud about what's happening at the Waterbury Career Academy. And let me just say this, by doing it the way we did it, when I talk about 1 year at a time, guess what the graduation rate was in June? For the first class that started as freshmen, 96.8% graduation rate. So, we're really proud of that school, and we're very much sticking to that criteria of, we are really, really careful about this, making sure that the students that select Career Academy are qualified and are there for the reason that we want them to be there for, and that's to learn. Also, I'm proud of the Career Academy because the parental engagement there has been very, very high, which I'm sure is no surprise to all of you. When the parents are involved, kids do better. Okay, we talked a little bit about the Workforce Investment Board, and so you can see those statistics. What's telling about those statistics is the 86% placement, and the average wage is about $18 an hour once they get this skilled training that the Workforce Investment Board provides for them. Unemployment rate, crazy as it sounds, in 2011, 14.3%. We're at 6.7% now. Hey, listen, we still have a lot of work to do in this area, but at the end of the day, people are working. People who want to work are getting opportunities to be trained in whatever field that they want to go into, and then they are getting jobs. And so we're very proud of Kathy Awad and the work that her group has done on that. What's happening in Waterbury with more progress? Well, listen, we just were the recipients of a $450,000 grant for the south end of Waterbury for the Boston Federal Reserve grant process. We were really, really thrilled to get this grant. It was a lot of hard work from a lot of stakeholders, some of which are here in this room. Again, just another sign of public-private partnership for the good of the order. And we're really excited about what's happening in the south end of Waterbury between this project, the Food Hub, Animet, and the other projects that we'll talk about in just a few minutes. Somebody mentioned Bill Palumbo, I guess. I keep mentioning your name, Bill. I-84 Waterbury project, the widening project, I don't know, it's just amazing from this perspective. Very, very few complaints, which is, just a great credit to the State Department of Transportation and the way that they've gotten the information out and how they're redoing that highway. I love going through there. As a matter of fact, when I haven't gone through there in a couple of weeks and I drive through there, I can't believe it. It seems like the highways all changed once again. So it's on time, under budget, I'm told. We've been fortunate with these mild winters over the last couple of years, and hopefully we'll get through next winter and we'll wrap this thing up. The good news is the impacts that it's had on the east end of Waterbury are amazing. And not just the east end, but to be able to get through Waterbury is a plus, right? And at the end of the day, the commercial development and retail development out on the east side of town has really been amazing. And what's even more amazing is the property values out there, which of course I'm really happy about because it's bringing in a lot of opportunity for more tax dollars and grand list growth. We're always looking for different ways to save money. We put our first ever fuel cell down at the treatment plant, and we're really excited that it's down there. So this is up and running, by the way. This is a Doosan fuel cell at the Water Pollution Control, and this is saving us estimated savings of $150,000 a year in electrical costs. And believe me when I tell you, that's a very conservative estimate, and I think we're going to do much better than that. But even $150,000 a year, in my mind, is a good step in the right direction and didn't cost us anything. We continue to make the parks a large focus of our administration for quality of life reasons and getting our students and our adults, all the above, involved in their neighborhoods. And we've invested very heavily and will continue to invest heavily in the parks over the next couple of years. Obviously, our banner park is Fulton Park, And you can see the top left corner, we were planted 110 lilacs in Fulton Park this year. I planted 2 of them, and they're still alive. I check on them. They're the only things that live. I don't have anything living in my yard. But we're really proud of the commitment. You're right. You're right. We're really proud of the commitment that the city has shown to the parks over the last 5-6 years. The splash pads. When I came into office, we had 21 splash pads in the city, for the children, and 1 worked. And it really, I tell you, honest to God, you shake your head. But so, we did a little bit of digging around, and one by one, we got the splash pads working again. Mostly, they were just full of mud and leaves and crap, and at the end of the day, it wasn't that the plumbing was broken, it was that no one really took the opportunity to get them going. Some of them we have replaced because the new splash pads are so much cleaner and safer and easier to maintain, but you wonder, you shake your head when you have 21 splash pads in a city and only 1 works. I don't know. I remember the first month I was in office, I went to Hopeville School to see the kids, and this 3rd grader raised her hand, and she said, "Can you do me a favor?" I said, "I'll try." And she said, "Well, I live right across from Hopeville Park, and we don't have any swings." "You don't have any swings?" So I went down to the park, and there was 4 swing sets and no swings. There you go. So we have swings. We also have upgraded Washington Park House. As you can see, it's magnificent and beautiful. And I really can't go any further without acknowledging the Park Department, especially the leadership of Mark Lombardo, who is here today. He'll be mad at me for mentioning his name. This guy has done an unbelievable job, period. I mean, the guy just doesn't stop. And at the end of the day, all these improvements are from his leadership, which is, as you all know, leadership is everything. And Mark, I put him in that job. Well, actually, the first month I was in office, I asked Joe Gary to take me through the 30 parks, and after that horrific day, we put Mark Lombardo in charge of the parks, and ever since then, you can see what it's meant for the city and for the neighborhoods and for the kids. Municipal Stadium, it started out on a rocky road, but we're slowly making our way. The final phase of the Municipal Stadium project is the outbuilding for the locker rooms and the bathrooms, and the drawings are pretty much done. That's going to be going out to RFP. What we've noticed at the stadium since we've done the revitalization down there, and hats off to State Representative Jeff Berger and Senator Joan Hartley for securing the funding for those projects. The fact of the matter is the park is alive again, and it's amazing to see the number of young people and even elderly people going there to watch football games and baseball games. We were lucky enough to win the Mickey Mantle World Series back and the Clemente World Series back, and we're really excited about the future of that park. Moving fast forward to the, I got a little ways to go here, and I'm not talking fast enough. Fast forward to brownfields. The city of Waterbury continues to be at the forefront, quite frankly, in the state of Connecticut at brownfield remediation projects. And I'm very, very proud of this because it is the key. There's no question in a city like Waterbury, with our history and our legacy, it is the key to the revitalization of the city. And as you can see, from 313 Mill Street to the Risden Manufacturing, to the Animet Building, to 77 South Main, to 835 South Main, I mean, this is our legacy. Waterbury Industrial Commons, Anaconda, American Brass, Chase. This is our legacy. And we need to move forward, and it is painstakingly slow, but quite frankly, at the end of the day, we've made enormous progress over the last 6 years, and we're really proud of it. And it's making a difference in these neighborhoods. It's providing job opportunities for our residents and our students and our in-betweens, and getting it done. And we're really happy about it. We have a huge relationship with EPA and Connecticut Deep. And the poster for the United States Environmental Protection Agency at the 2015 Brownfield Conference was the Powell Park and the Waterbury Industrial Commons. They chose to showcase at the Brownfield Conference those two projects, and I was invited to speak, and that was a lot of fun out in Chicago, and I went to a Cub game for the first time. Listen, one of the things that we've been proud of too is that when we came into office, the city owned a number of different properties but had no long-term leases for the tenants. We negotiated leases for the tenants, and they're triple net leases, which means the city's actually making money. And we're thrilled about some of those things that have happened. And I jumped around a little on you, but I'm just going to go back to the brownfields. Over the last 6 years, we have solicited, we have begged, we have borrowed, and we have pleaded for funding. And I'm proud to say that over the last 6 years, this administration has been able to solicit $41.5 million in brownfield money from both our state and federal partners for these remediation projects. Thank you. We continue to be brutally tough on fiscal spending and responsibility. This slide just shows you that over the last 6 years, our budget increases have been at an average of 1.4%. There's not a municipality in Connecticut that has that number. And I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of the department heads in the city of Waterbury for holding the line and finding ways to do less than more with more. Doing more with less. Don't let them hear that. They're probably all here saying, oh boy, this is going to be a party this year. But it really does make a difference. And the reason it makes a difference is because we meet weekly with our department heads, and it's called the COCC committee. And I got this from the oversight board, and I see Mr. Kellogg here. Chuck, thank you. When the oversight board was here and I was the police chief, I had to go down every week and just about go line item by line item over the police budget. And Chuck and the gang used to ask me a lot of questions about different things. And when I left there, I learned so much more from the oversight board experience than I did 4 years of college and finance. And I was really happy about the experience. When I came into office, we started the cost containment COCC committee. And every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, the department heads come into the office and they sit with us, Sarah from budget and Mike from finance, Joe Gary, and they talk about their budgets, where they are in the fiscal year, where they are with their costs, and where they're spending, and where they are with their savings. And first of all, it opens up great lines of communication with these people, and they feel appreciated, and they are. And second of all, it gives them an opportunity to learn a little bit about where we are each week of the fiscal year, so that, and especially in this time when we're sliding along doing well, and then all of a sudden the state starts making some mid-year budget cuts, and then we find ourselves in a state of anxiety, putting it mildly. And so it's a great line of communication, and it works well, and I'm proud of all the people that participate. We continue to be very diligent with savings on major expenditures like health care. When we came into office for the first time ever, we put an RFP out for a third-party administrator. So far, we selected Cigna. We've saved $10 million so far in year-over-year costs. We put the garbage out to bid, and we saved about $1 million on that. That goes out again in March. I think the thing that we're most proud of is the Medicare enrollment program. Our retirees, 65 and older, we enrolled them in the Medicare program, and to date, from July 1st, 2016 to December 31st, 2017, we've spent $14.8 million less in healthcare costs, and that's an amazing statistic. The procurement ordinance, listen, we had a very strict procurement ordinance in place because of some of our illustrious former mayors, so we won't mention by name, but we had to change how we did business and make things a little stricter. In 2017, I asked Jim Smith if he would, from Webster, if he would have his procurement people look at our ordinances to see if it wasn't time for some updating, as we felt that we weren't getting the best bang from our buck under the very strict procurement ordinance. It's still very strict, but it gives us a little bit of opportunity to negotiate a little bit more with people who answer RFPs. Jim sent the head of the Webster Bank Procurement Department down for 3 months. He and our staff worked together and came up with a new ordinance that I can tell you right now is going to save us millions of dollars moving forward. We also talk about construction projects. When KBE was up here, we've adopted a different policy of construction projects. You know, the old policy was a construction advisor manager, and the city paid hefty fees for this service. But at the end of the day, no one was taking any risk. And so when we did have issues like at Municipal Stadium or Duggan School, everybody was finger pointing, and the city was left standing there holding the bag. So we changed that to a construction manager at risk model, and it's been extraordinarily successful. And KBE did Carrington School, that was mentioned, which is a beautiful elementary school, on time and under budget. And KBE is now doing the Department of Public Works facility, as you heard, with the construction manager at risk. And what it does is it gives the construction companies the opportunity to work closely with the architects from the very beginning to design the product that's going to work best for the needs of the city of Waterbury. I won't go into the other way because it was ridiculous and didn't make any sense. So at the end of the day, we're proud of the fact that we've changed our business acumen towards being more efficient and certainly more productive in the services that we get out of these projects. So we're really proud of the DPW, the Department of Public Works facility. If you get a chance on Easter, it's on our East Aurora, drive by. We bought that property from McDermott for $1. We did some environmental work over there, and we've got 10 acres of magnificent property that's going to put all of our Department of Public Works under one roof. Right now, they're all over the place. And they're all going to be under one roof, and it was a great bipartisan project that was undertaken, and I'm really proud of the Board of Aldermen for supporting it the way that they did. 2018 will be the year of the Naugatuck River. We're starting a river brigade, which is really a byproduct of the snow shovel brigade. It's going to be a bunch of PAL students working all summer, July and August, and they'll be working with a lot of supervision around the river and cleaning it from the Thomaston line to the Naugatuck line. And what I'm proud about that is that Kevin Zach, who I think most of you who are from this area know is the famous Naugatuck River man who has spent his entire life cleaning the Naugatuck River, has been in numerous, hundreds and hundreds of articles, both in the Rep Bam and other publishings, for his love of the river, and Kevin has agreed to work with me to coordinate the River Brigade for the summer, and Kevin is here with us today, and I just want to acknowledge him. Thank you, Kevin. So in our never-ending quest, we're still trying to attract 55 and older communities. In case any of you out there know developers who want to get involved with the city, we're very much interested in 55 and older development. We've got some nice property available for that in that regard, and working with other developers on projects as we speak at the very moment. Okay, now challenges. I know that you're on a schedule, and I'm going to try to make this quick. So the challenge is really simple. I mean, everybody who lives in Connecticut knows what's going on in Connecticut, right? What's going on in Connecticut is that the state is in a huge, unbelievable, undescribable fiscal crisis. It didn't just happen. It's been slowly happening over 30 or 40 years, and now this is it. We hit a wall. We're done. We have to think differently. And so, you know, we are fighting as municipalities with our legislature to understand that we can't do anymore. We're done. We can't afford another unfunded mandate. We can't afford them ignoring our pleas each and every legislative cycle to listen to us, to understand where we are, because everything that they do impacts everything out here in this room. whether it's business owners, whether it's property taxpayers, everything comes here. And so I am begging people across the state, and not making some friends, to please pay attention to this November. It's really simple. If you don't see the state and the crisis that it's in, then you need to start reading every day the Hartford Courant, the Republican American, and you need to see and feel what's happening, because in the current reports on what's happening a little bit more throughout the state, and the Republican American, and through Paul Hughes as the legislative reporter up there, and hey, look, he's telling you like it is, and it is what it is, and it's bad. And so we can't afford not to learn from all these years of people who are in these elected positions not recognizing the impacts of their decisions on the cities and towns. And that's really why I took the president's job at CCM. And if I don't get impeached, which is probably going to happen, I'm going to keep screaming about it. But you know, the truth is, we talked about education cost sharing grants, and we're running out of time, so I'm going to cut this a little bit short. But we are seeing dramatic underfunding in the urban cities in the area of education. The city of Waterbury is number one underfunded. Number one. We're underfunded by about $60 million a year. Do you know what $60 million a year can do for this town? And so it falls on the taxpayers. You know, I've raised taxes twice in 6 years, and the only reason why I raised taxes last time was because of the gap in education. And it's really extraordinary. The costs are amazing. Waterbury is an anomaly. We're one of the only cities in the state that has seen, we are the only city actually, that has seen every year over the last 6 years a rise in our student enrollment. Every other city, and especially the towns, have seen dramatic reductions in their enrollment. Now, the city's not as dramatic as the towns, but every town that touches Waterbury has seen a reduction in their student enrollment, 20 to 25%. It's amazing what's happening, yet Waterbury continues to rise. We have over 19,000 kids in our district now, and we just took in over the last, and this is before this, by the way, we're rolling along with another increase in this school year, and then the hurricane hit Puerto Rico, and now we've got about 300 new kids that have come in the district since Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. We're busting out. We just don't have any room, and these children are, by and large, they don't speak English. They are about 20%, which is average, children who need some sort of special needs. And, we just can't fit another kid in any of our grammar schools. And we are out of bilingual teachers. We're hiring substitute teachers. We're hiring anybody and anyone who has some sort of background in education to help us deal with this crisis. The federal government has just announced Friday that they're going to send some money our way, and we're very grateful for that. But the truth of the matter is we're just out of room. And, I don't want to build another school because they're so expensive. And, we just can't afford to build another school right now. So, we're in a place where the state of Connecticut has to recognize and understand that, we have been relatively flat funded on the education cost sharing grant over the last 10 years. And when I say that, I mean it. We just have been flat funded, but there has been some money that's been given to us through what's called an alliance grant, and that's really good, but there's strings attached to that, and about 50% of that money is supposed to go to reform. And so that's okay too, except that we need the money for the day-to-day operations of the school department because our population keeps growing every year. And when I say growing, it grows 100 to 150, 175 kids a year. That's a lot of kids. That's a huge amount of kids. And then you add that up over the course of 6 years, and then you throw in the 300 kids from Puerto Rico, you've got 1,200 kids. 1,200 kids that are in grammar schools that are not built for that. So it's really tough. And our number one goal at CCM this year, let me give you the top two. Our number one goal is education cost share reform. so that the funding is centered around the number of heads, number of students. So if you've got X number of students, you get X amount of money. And if you live in a city or town that has seen a decline in the enrollment, then it's got to be adjusted. We don't need more money in education. What we need is it to be distributed fairly. So if Waterbury sees 1,200 new kids, then Waterbury should be getting more money. If Woodbury sees less children, or Wolcott, or Thomaston, up to 20 to 25% less kids, well, guess what? Then that money should be going to the district that has more kids, because that's where the expense is. So that's a big fight, and it's a tough fight, because unfortunately the suburban towns and the smaller towns, when you put everybody in the legislature, they outnumber us. They outnumber the urban delegation. So when the governor zero funds them, it never passes, because all those guys get together and they stall the budget process until ultimately we go year over year over year with no changes. So that's a big problem. The other big problem that I'll end you with, the last big problem here in the city of Waterbury that I'm kind of cranky about, is the labor negotiations. So the number 2 item on the CCM agenda is trying to figure out a way to bring up to date binding arbitration. And so, you know, we've been very difficult. I mean, we've been tough on negotiations, not because we want to be, but because, as you all know, as business leaders and owners, there just isn't the flow of money like there used to be. And so municipal aid has been flat funded and cut in many instances, especially mid-year fiscal cuts. So, you know, we've been, you know, really negotiating tough. And, you know, over the last few years, we had the fire contract in 2014-17 contract went to binding arbitration. We're in binding arbitration with the fire department now, again, for the 17-20 contract. The police department contract, which was 2012-17, we ended up in binding arbitration with them as well. And most recently, this one is very interesting. Most recently, the school administrators union, we got into labor negotiations with them. And of course, when you talk about school administrators, both school employees, both administrators and teachers, it's all guided by statute. They're powerful, powerful unions, and they have laws in place where you know, when I negotiate with the police and fire, I don't have strict timelines that I have to meet. And, you know, we can go back and forth for a while, and maybe we get to an agreement, and maybe we don't. With the teachers, administrators, you have statutory timelines. So we got into the SAW administrators, which is about 90 of them, negotiations 4 months ago. And so, you know, we were very, very stingy because of the state of the state on what we were willing to offer them. And so we came up with a 0 for the first year, which is not unusual, but 0 for the first year, a 1% increase in the second year, 1.5 in the third year. Now, we knew we were going to move a little bit off that, but the 0 for the first year was really important to us because we got huge budget cuts last year and this year. And so we needed a 0. Now, this is a unit that has 90 members, and their average salary is $115,000 a year. Pretty good salary. So we weren't very successful. We couldn't agree. And we went to interest arbitration, binding arbitration, and here's what happened. So the first year, they were awarded a 1%, which, you know, we were hoping for a 0 because we've got a lot of other contracts that are coming up over the next year, year and a half, and we're hoping to set the tone with the 0. A 1%, but the second year they got a step increase, and we worked out a kind of a modified step schedule through Attorney Tara Shaw, who I think is here today, and we were good with that because it was whatever. And then the third year they got a 1% increase, and people at top step, for those of you guys that don't understand steps, you get so many steps, and when you get to top step, you got to give the other ones a general wage increase, which is fine. Anyways, it was a 4.7 over 3 years. I didn't love it, and I'll tell you why. Because I didn't like the 1% in the first year, and I didn't like the fact that the bargaining unit really, honestly, didn't understand fully, in my humble opinion, the state of Connecticut, and the sense of entitlement was overwhelming in my mind. And I'm really not making any friends with these guys at the moment, but the truth of the matter is, it's just not there. And when it's not there, and you get these kinds of awards, it invariably ends up in your laps, the taxpayers. And it's just not fair for you either, because of the state of the state. And when we get the state in a better direction, which I think will be soon, because I'm the ever optimistic mayor, I believe that there'll be time for reward when the state stabilizes itself. So anyways, we accepted the award. The Board of Aldermen approved it only because we strengthened up some language about some job elimination and the possibilities in the hierarchy, and we strengthened some already existing language about bumping rights. So the Board of Aldermen accepted it. Well, the SAW people changed their mind. They decided that the award wasn't what they wanted it to be, and they had issues with the award. So the SAW bargaining unit, after the interest arbitration award came out, fired their lawyer, hired a new one, and he just filed a notice of to vacate the SAW award. So they want to start all over again. So the last time, it took 4 months and $100,000 of the city's money, not counting what we pay the arbitrators. And so, the rules of the game are, when you go into arbitration, historically, whatever comes out of arbitration is it. That's it. You either live by it or you die by it. You're happy or you're sad, or you're a little bit of both. If usually it's somewhere in the middle. This time, the SAW people decided that they were not happy with the award, so now they're trying to vacate the entire award and go back to the drawing board, which is absolutely unbelievable that it could even be possible. And so that's the reason why, amongst other reasons why, we need to take a very close look at the process. And the process doesn't mean you can have your cake and eat it too. When you go into arbitration, whatever happens, happens. And we've never really heard of this before, so this is going to be fun to watch. I think we'll be successful. We have great legal staff. We have, Secor, McPartland, and Cassidy that's been very successful in representing the city on these union-related matters. But the system is really broken badly. And I'll just go full circle with what I started with. And I see Representative Jerry Reyes is in the room. Thank you, Jerry, for being here. And this is the message that we're trying to get back, is that, we really need to recognize and understand that the system is broken. And so Jim Smith's not here today because he's the co-chair of the Fiscal Policy Committee that the governor appointed because of the state of the state, and he co-chairs that with a great guy named Bob Petroselli, who we've gotten to know well over the last couple of weeks and months. But they're coming out with some recommendations by the end of the week. And this Fiscal Policy Committee, are going to make recommendations on what they believe, and they're made up of 14 people who are all very connected to business and business policy, and they're absolutely brilliant people, and that's why they were selected to sit on this committee. And they're going to make recommendations. And I think what's going to be very interesting to see, A, what the recommendations are, and B, what the legislature is going to do with the recommendations. Now, this is a short session. I see Representative Larry Butler is here with us as well. Thank you, Larry. And I see that, this is a short session, which means it's 90 days, which means that these folks are going to work for 90 days and then they're going to run for re-election. And so, I think that it's going to be very telling to see what happens with the recommendations and what is done with the recommendations in the state legislature with this fiscal policy committee that has been working for the last several months on their own time, on their own dime, to do the right thing. And I've testified in front of them, and they're very, very thorough, and they're very precise, and they're very demanding. Kathy Smith, you can tell Jim I said that, in the fact that they want all the information that they can get. So I talked about the State Oversight Board in Waterbury and what it meant to the city and how it came to be. And I've also talked in my role as president of the CCM about the concerns of the other mayors and first selectmen and town managers throughout the state. And so it's going to be fun to see, but I think what's going to be more interesting is, are these recommendations going to have any legs? Because if they don't, it's going to impact all of you. I guarantee you it will. And it won't impact you in a positive way. It's got to be something that we've got to start paying attention to. I don't mean to sound like Mr. Negative, because quite frankly, Waterbury is the strongest city in the state right now. Our bond rating is AA minus, never been higher. We have a stable outlook, no city has that. We're doing really good. But the fact of the matter is that we're doing really good because we're being brutally, brutally conservative on all spending and fiscal matters. And the truth of the matter is that the other cities are struggling. And we were struggling too, but we were lucky enough to be bailed out, if you will, by the hard work of people like Chuck Kellogg and the oversight board that came into the city and took it over basically from 2001 to 2006. And believe me when I tell you, I get criticized every day by labor, and I'm going to get criticized for this speech too. But without the oversight board, we would not be having the success that we are having right now today. And by the way, our people, all of which are members of organized labor, would not be enjoying the stability of the job security and the health benefits that they have because of the work of the State Oversight Board. So, you know, it's one of those things. It is what it is. So we're doing great in Waterbury, and if Waterbury does good, generally the region is good. Home prices are starting to balloon in Waterbury. There's a lot of home sales, a record of number of home sales, I guess, in 2017, which is a good sign. We've got over 1,000 people living in the city now who commute every day to New York City and Lower Fairfield County. Our neighborhoods are starting to get stronger again after the Great Depression of 2008, and I feel like we're going in a really positive direction. And if you could just do me one single favor out there, all of you great business people and stakeholders in the city of Waterbury and the Chamber, pay attention to the 2018 elections. It's going to make or break all of us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Great job, Mr. Mayor. I know you spoke of leadership, and I think everyone in this room can agree that we have an incredible leader as our mayor of the city of Waterbury. We appreciate you being here today, appreciate all of you for joining us, and thank you to our chairman, Bill Pizzuto, our chairman of public policy, Bill Palumba, and all the sponsors that supported today's event. Have a great day. Thank you.